Hey there, everyone. My name is Ryan Schul. Welcome to my channel. This is all about data science, machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, and I mix in some other things as well. Now, this is one of these other things. I was thinking about this concept fairly recently, just a few days ago. So I put together a couple scripts to showcase what is the true cost of buying a car. Okay, so if you want to buy a car and you go to the dealership and it has a MSRP manufacturer's suggested retail price of 25,000 or whatever, right? You think, okay, the cost of the car is 25,000. It's actually could be substantially more than that, right? It could be closer to 28, 29, 30,000, maybe over 30,000, because there's a lot of ancillary costs that are not negotiable. You cannot just find a loophole and say, okay, I don't want to pay this. I will pay this one. This is kind of trivial, but I don't want to pay this big one over here. No, you have to pay pretty much all of these expenses on top of the MSRP cost of the car. Okay. Now, some might be somewhat negotiable, but for the most part, most of these are not. Okay. So let me take you through everything so we can see the hidden costs that actually build up pretty fast that tally onto the total cost of the car. Okay. And when you have this knowledge, you can make better financial planning and budgeting decisions, knowing that the car's true cost is almost guaranteed to be higher than the MSRP, but it helps you to make better informed decisions. You're more prepared for cash that's needed up front, right? For all of these obligations that you have to commit to when you buy the car. And you can make smart decision makings and actually have negotiation power. If you say, okay, the cost of the car is 25K or whatever, and there's another $10,000. No, it probably wouldn't be that much. Maybe another 8,000 on top of the 25. So what is that? 5, 6, 7, 8. 33,000. You could go to the dealer and say, listen, the true cost of me buying this car is not 25K, it's actually 33K. Will you negotiate with the price a little bit? Because I was planning to pay around 25K. All of a sudden it's ballooning the 33. How can we work this out? How can we come to an agreement here so we can complete this transaction? Okay. When you know the total cost of ownership, you're more empowered, you have more information, you can make more intelligent decisions. Okay. So let me take you through it here. I put together some scripts, tested it and debugged it, and I think this should work pretty well. Let's take it for a test drive, no pun intended here. So the purchase price, I'm going to say 25K for the vehicle. Sales tax, usually 6% to 10% on, on average, but we can impute this value, or we can plug in this value, whatever you think is the most accurate that reflects the actual tax on your vehicle, right? And it's different for all different states across the US. I'm going to say $2,000. No, I'm going to put it in percent. I'm going to put it in percent. So 10% would be 2,500. I'm going to put in 8%. Okay. Just spitballing here. Total registration fees, I'm going to say 500. Dealership fees, and this could be some kind of ancillary thing that you maybe not are aware of at the beginning, but they're going to introduce you to these extra fees before you exit the dealership. I can guarantee that. Inspection and smog tests, that is not negotiable. You're going to have to pay it. Insurance, first year. Where I live, it's pretty expensive. If you're in a state with fewer people and fewer expensive houses and expensive cars to hit, then it's probably less, but 1,500 is pretty close for my area. So extended warranty, the default is about $1,200. I'll go with the warranty. If it's a brand new car, maybe you don't need it, maybe you want it. It's really up to you. Now, that's one of those costs that maybe you can put in zero. And if you don't need the warranty, if you think that's not going to be very useful for you, just put in zero. But by default, it's probably going to be about $1,200. Other miscellaneous costs, I'm going to put in 200 just to be safe here, because I don't want to go to the dealership with 25K knowing that the car costs 25K. And then we get this weird surprise because we have all these ancillary extra charges tacked on to the 25K. So I went ahead and input all the values. I'm going to create a chart here to see what the visual breakdown is. So that's the cost of the car, 25K. That's exactly what we said initially. But there's a bunch of ancillary extra costs over here. Not really superfluous, but probably mandatory and probably not going to get out of this, right? There could be some wiggle room at some point, but that's really up in the air. There's no guarantee of anything whatsoever. So the cost of the car is 25,000. That's actually 86% of the total cost of everything, because you have all these extra charges baked in here. So you have another 14% of charges above and beyond what it costs to buy this car for 25K. Okay, so here's the purchase price. Here's the insurance, the breakdown, extended warranty, sales tax at 8%. Wait a minute, I think I put that in wrong. Sales tax could be higher than 8%. Let's come back and fix that. We'll do one more example here. Okay, the percent of total costs relative to purchase price of the car is actually 15% higher. Okay, so you take 100 minus that, and you'll get about 15%. Okay, so 15 plus this 86 should add up to 100%. So let's go back at this sales tax thing. I just noticed that. I tested this the other day, and I thought it was right, but maybe I have to put in the actual amount of the sales tax. Let me see where sales tax, 6% of the price. Yeah, I see what happened. So that is okay. That's okay. I'm not going to change anything. I think I just misread that when I was going through the first time. Let's do another example. The car is a little bit more expensive this time, $35K for the car. Sales tax, I'm going to put in, last time I put in a percent, that was the problem. It was $8. I was thinking 8%. I'm going to put in $2,500 for sales tax. Title and registration fee, $500, I think, is a good baseline number. $400 for the dealership registration. Inspection smog, probably $50. I don't think that's a huge hit. Insurance, yeah, probably $1,750. Now the car is a little bit more expensive than in the last example. Extended warranty, I'll go with it because it's better to be safe than sorry. And other miscellaneous costs, I could put in 0 for this. Put in 0, okay? We've already paid enough. Let's go ahead and plot this and see what it looks like. Okay, so we have the original 35K, but we have a lot of extra costs here that we have to account for. The other miscellaneous I said was 0. Let's look at the breakdown over here. Okay, so 35K, that's about 84% of the total, but we have all these extra charges down here that add up to be quite a substantial amount. And it's actually an extra 18.29% in addition to the 3,500 that the dealer was charging us, right? So that's pretty substantial. That's something that we really need to be aware of before going into the dealership. So we know the true cost of the car is much closer to 40,000. I think in this case, a little bit over 40,000. I should probably print that out. I'll change this a little bit so we have a good breakdown here. But it's much closer to 40,000. I think a hair over 40K. But that's something that you should be aware of when you go to the dealership. Don't just think, okay, the car is 35K. I'm going to give this guy 35K exactly, and you're driving off the lot. It doesn't work like that, guys, right? There's always these extra ancillary, almost annoying. These are kind of nuisance charges, but they're mandatory charges, except for maybe miscellaneous other. All of these, I guarantee you're going to have to pay the insurance. The warranty might be optional. It's really up to you. It's probably a good idea to get that. Title and registration fee, that's mandatory dealership documentation fees, mandatory smog fee, mandatory sales tax fee, mandatory. You can't wiggle your way out of it. You're going to have to pay these fees. It's better to know this upfront when you go to the dealership. And this could work to your advantage, right? When you have this information and this knowledge, you can say to the dealer, look, the total cost of ownership here, when I drive this thing off the lot, is not 35K. It's a little over 40K. Are you willing to negotiate a little bit on the price? Can you come down a little bit so we can get closer to that 35K? Because right now, if I give you your asking price, I'm actually paying over 40K. If you can drop the price, maybe 5-6%, something like that, we can get this closer to 35K, including all the ancillary extra charges here that are not negotiable. We have to pay these charges. If we pay an extra 18%, but the dealer takes off an extra 8%, that will definitely work to your advantage. But you only know that when you have this information, right? When you go to the dealer and you are very transparent and you lay that in front of the dealer and say, listen, I want this deal to be close to 35K. How can we make this work? What can we do to do this transaction? Okay, so that's it, guys. I just wanted to share that information with you, drop the knowledge here so you can make more informed, intelligent decisions for yourself. Okay, I'm going to add a couple little extra lines over here to clean up this part at the end so you know the breakdown of these charges here. But I'm going to wrap up the video. I'll make the changes and I'll share all this code with you guys when I post a video later today. Thank you so much for your time. And as always, I will see you in the next video, which I'll drop pretty soon. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon. Bye.